And that's the most important thing I've learned through all of this. One person's betrayal doesn't end your story. It's just a difficult chapter. A painful plot twist. A character who reveals themselves and then exits the narrative. Your story continues beyond them. Beyond the betrayal. Beyond the pain. And you get to decide what that next chapter looks like. I chose to make mine about resilience, growth, and building something meaningful. I chose to let the pain teach me rather than define me. I chose to become someone who protects themselves wisely, but remains open to genuine connection. I chose to build with integrity even when shortcuts were available. And those choices have created a life I'm genuinely proud of. Team Flow continues to grow. We're planning new features, expanding into new markets, hiring talented people who share our values. More importantly, I'm surrounded by people I trust. People who've proven themselves through consistent actions over years. People who celebrate my successes and support me through challenges. I'm in a relationship now with someone who values honesty and integrity as much as I do. Someone I can be vulnerable with because they've earned that vulnerability through their consistent character. I have friendships that feel genuine and reciprocal. Collaborations built on clear agreements and mutual respect. A professional reputation I'm proud of. I still have ambitions. Still have dreams. Still want to build bigger things and make a larger impact. But those ambitions no longer come from a desperate need to prove myself or validate my worth. They come from genuine excitement about the problems I can solve and the value I can create. That's a much healthier foundation to build from. As for Marcus, I genuinely hope he's found his way to becoming a better person. I hope his failures taught him what success couldn't. I hope he treats the next person who trusts him with the respect and integrity he failed to show me. Not because he deserves my hope, but because the world needs fewer people like the Marcus who betrayed me, and more people like the Marcus he could become if he truly learns from his mistakes. And who knows, maybe in 10 years, 20 years, a lifetime from now, our paths will cross again in some unexpected way. Maybe by then, enough time will have passed and enough growth will have occurred that we can acknowledge each other with genuine goodwill. Or maybe we'll never cross paths again. Maybe he'll remain a painful memory, a cautionary tale, a closed chapter. Either way is fine with me, because my life no longer revolves around him or what he did. I've moved on, not by forgetting, but by choosing to build a future that's richer and more meaningful than my past. And isn't that the ultimate response to betrayal? Not revenge, not destruction, not even justice, but living well, building something genuine, creating a life of meaning and integrity. That's how you win, not by destroying your betrayer, but by refusing to let them destroy you. So here we are, at the end of this long, difficult, ultimately hopeful story. If you've stayed with me through every twist and turn, every moment of pain and triumph, every lesson and reflection, I want to say thank you. Thank you for bearing witness to this story, for sitting with the discomfort of betrayal and the complexity of healing, for understanding that real life doesn't always have neat resolutions or perfect endings. Sometimes the ending is simply, I survived, I rebuilt, I moved forward, and that's enough. I want to leave you with one final thought. Whatever you're building in your life right now, a business, a career, a relationship, a dream. Build it with integrity. Not because integrity guarantees success, it doesn't. Not because good things always happen to good people. They don't. But because your integrity is the foundation of everything else. It's the soil from which genuine success grows. It's the anchor that holds you steady when storms come. And storms will come. Betrayals will happen. People will disappoint you. Setbacks will occur. But if you've built on a foundation of integrity, you can weather those storms. You can rebuild from the rubble. You can move forward with your head held high. Marcus stole my idea. But he couldn't steal my character. He couldn't steal my resilience. He couldn't steal my future. Those things remain mine. And they've carried me further than Creative Hub ever could have. Your integrity will carry you too. Through betrayal and beyond it. Through failure and toward success. Through pain and into healing. Hold on to it. Protect it. Let it guide every decision you make. Because at the end of your life, when you look back on everything you've built and everyone you've affected, your integrity will be the measure of whether it all meant something. Not your bank account, not your press coverage, not your market valuation, but whether you built something good, whether you treated people well, whether you stayed true to yourself even when shortcuts were available. That's what matters. That's what lasts. That's what makes the journey worthwhile. So build with integrity. Protect yourself wisely. Choose your collaborators carefully. Trust but verify. Dream big but document everything. And if betrayal comes, if someone steals from you, lies to you, violates your trust, remember this story. Remember that you will survive, that you will rebuild, that you will create something even better than what was taken from you. Remember that the betrayer doesn't determine your future. You do. Remember that your response to the betrayal matters more than the betrayal itself. And remember that success built on integrity, even if it comes slower and quieter, is infinitely more valuable than success built on lies. Thank you for listening to my story. May your own story be filled with genuine friendships, ethical collaborations, and success that you're truly proud of. May you build something meaningful, something good, something that lasts. And if betrayal finds you, may you have the strength to rebuild, the wisdom to move forward, and the integrity to never become what hurt you. This is my story. A story of betrayal, yes. But more importantly, a story of resilience, growth, and the power of choosing integrity over revenge. I hope it helps someone. Anyone. Even just one person who needed to hear that they'll survive their own betrayal and build something beautiful from the ashes. Because they will. You will. We all will. That's the real ending to this story. Not defeat, not revenge, not even justice. Just the quiet, powerful truth. We survive, we rebuild, and we become stronger than we ever thought possible. And that, ultimately, is enough. The lesson of this story isn't that betrayal is avoidable, or that trust is foolish. It's that your response to betrayal defines your future more than the betrayal itself. Integrity isn't just a moral virtue, it's a strategic advantage. It's the foundation that allows you to build something sustainable, meaningful, and genuinely successful. When someone steals from you, they can take your ideas, your time, even your immediate opportunities. But they cannot take your character, your resilience, or your ability to create something new. The real tragedy isn't what Marcus stole from me. It's what he stole from himself, his integrity, his peace of mind, and the genuine friendship that could have supported him through his entire life. He traded something permanent for something temporary. He traded authentic connection for hollow success. And in the end, he lost both. Meanwhile, I lost a battle, but won something far more valuable. The knowledge that I can rebuild from nothing, that my worth isn't determined by who believes in me, and that success without integrity is meaningless, while integrity without immediate success is still profoundly valuable. The questions this story asks you to consider: what are you building, and what foundation are you building it on? When faced with the choice between easy and right, which do you choose? How do you treat the people who trust you with their dreams, their ideas, their vulnerability? What kind of legacy do you want to leave, one of achievement at any cost, or one of meaningful impact built on solid ground? The answers to these questions will determine not just your success, but your character. And your character, ultimately, is all you truly have. You can lose your business, your money, your reputation, even your ideas. But your character, that's yours to keep or yours to give away. No one can take it from you. You can only surrender it through your choices. Choose wisely. Choose integrity. Choose the long game. Because the shortcuts that seem to lead to success often lead to collapse. And the harder path that feels like a detour often leads to destinations more beautiful than you imagined. To anyone who has betrayed someone's trust, it's not too late to change, to own your mistakes, to rebuild your character. But don't wait until everything collapses. Make the choice now to become someone whose success doesn't require lies to sustain it. To anyone who has been betrayed, your pain is valid. Your anger is justified. Your struggle is real. But your future is still unwritten. Don't let someone else's bad choices define your entire story. You are the author of what comes next. Write something beautiful. To anyone building something right now, build it with integrity. Protect yourself appropriately, but don't become cynical. Trust people, but choose carefully. Dream big, but stay grounded in ethics. And remember that the journey matters as much as the destination. How you build is just as important as what you build. Success is not about getting to the finish line first. It's about building something that lasts, treating people well along the way, and being able to look at yourself in the mirror with pride. Marcus got to the finish line first, but he built on sand and the tide came in. I took the longer path. But I built on rock, and what I've created stands strong. That's not luck. That's not karma. That's just the natural consequence of the foundations we chose to build on. Choose your foundation wisely. Everything else depends on it. Epilogue. 3 years later, I wasn't planning to add this section. The story felt complete, closed. A chapter of my life that I'd processed, learned from, and moved beyond. But something happened recently that feels worth sharing. A postscript that adds unexpected dimension to everything that came before. Last month, I received an email. No subject line, just a message that began. You probably don't want to hear from me, but I need to tell you something. It was from Marcus. My first instinct was to delete it unread. We'd had our closure 3 years ago. That conversation in the restaurant, his apology, my acceptance that we'd never be friends again. What more could there be to say? But curiosity, that dangerous human trait, got the better of me. I opened it. The email was long, detailed, and surprising. Marcus wrote that he'd been in continued therapy, working not just on his guilt about what he'd done to me, but on understanding the patterns in his life that had led to that betrayal. He'd discovered that his relationship with his father, demanding, never satisfied, always comparing him to more successful people, had created a desperate need for external validation. A need that had driven him to take shortcuts, to prioritize appearance over substance, to value achievement over relationships. He wrote about how the collapse of collective creative had been the best thing that ever happened to him, how it had forced him to confront who he'd become, how losing everything had paradoxically given him the space to rebuild himself from the inside out. He wasn't running a company anymore. He was teaching marketing at a community college and doing freelance consulting. Smaller work, humbler circumstances, but work that he could be genuinely proud of. He'd also started a blog where he wrote about ethics and entrepreneurship, using his own failures as cautionary tales. He never mentioned me or Collective Creative by name, but he wrote openly about having stolen an idea from a friend and the cascading consequences that followed. Apparently, his writing had resonated with people. Other entrepreneurs who'd made similar mistakes reached out. People who'd been betrayed found validation in his admissions. A small community had formed around honest conversations about integrity in business. "I'm not writing to ask for forgiveness," his email concluded. "I know I don't deserve that, and I'm not entitled to your absolution. I'm writing because my therapist suggested I tell you about the positive things that have emerged from my worst mistake, not to diminish what I did, but to show you that your choice to respond with integrity rather than destruction may have had ripples you never knew about. By not publicly destroying me, you gave me space to destroy and rebuild myself. That was a gift I didn't deserve, but have tried to honor. Thank you. I hope Team Flow continues to thrive, and I hope your life is everything mine should have been but wasn't because of my choices." I read that email 3 times, processing the complexity of emotions it stirred up. I wasn't sure how to feel. Part of me was genuinely glad he'd found a better path. Part of me wondered if this was just another manipulation. Part of me was angry that he expected me to feel good about giving him space to grow when I'd actually just been protecting my own peace. I didn't respond to the email. I wasn't sure I needed to. But I did look up his blog, out of curiosity, and what I found was actually valuable. He was writing with real vulnerability about the mindsets that lead entrepreneurs to compromise their ethics, about the warning signs that you're prioritizing outcomes over integrity, about how to rebuild when you've destroyed your own reputation. His writing helped people. I could see it in the comments. People thanking him for his honesty. People saying his words had stopped them from making similar mistakes. People who'd been betrayed finding comfort in seeing their betrayer take full responsibility. It was strange. My worst experience had become his teaching moment, and that teaching moment was preventing other people from experiencing similar pain. I don't know if that redeems what he did. I don't think it does. The harm to me was real, regardless of what good came from his later choices. But it does complicate the narrative. Life isn't a simple story of villain and hero, betrayer and victim, wrong and right. It's messier than that, more complex, more human. People who hurt you can grow and change. That doesn't erase what they did. But it does mean they aren't forever frozen in their worst moment. And sometimes, your response to betrayal, even when motivated by self-preservation rather than generosity, can create unexpected, positive outcomes. I'm not saying I'm glad Marcus betrayed me. I'm not saying everything happens for a reason or that his growth justifies my pain. But I am saying that 8 years after he first stole my idea, the full consequences of that choice are still unfolding. For both of us. In ways neither of us could have predicted. He destroyed something to learn how to build properly. I was destroyed and learned I could rebuild stronger. Neither of us would have chosen this path. But both of us became different people because of it. And maybe that's the real ending. Not villains getting punished or heroes winning completely. Just complicated humans making choices, facing consequences, and becoming different versions of themselves over time. Marcus will never be my friend again. That door is permanently closed. But I can acknowledge that he's apparently becoming a better person, and that his journey away from who he was might help others avoid becoming what he became. That doesn't change my story. But it does add a footnote that feels important to include. Because life doesn't end at the moment of justice or the moment of closure. It continues. People continue. And sometimes, years later, you discover that the story was more complex than you realized. The final lesson? Even the people who hurt you worst are still human. Still capable of growth. Still writing their own stories. You don't owe them forgiveness. You don't owe them access to your life. You don't owe them anything. But you can acknowledge their growth without diminishing your pain. You can be glad they became better without being glad for what they did. Healing and hatred aren't the only options. Sometimes there's a third path. Neutral acknowledgement. They exist, they changed. You moved on. And both of your stories continue in parallel, no longer intersecting, but no longer actively antagonistic either. Maybe that's true closure. Not dramatic reconciliation. Not burning hatred, just acknowledgement and release. They walk their path, you walk yours, and occasionally, from a distance, you notice they're walking differently than they used to. That's enough. The very end. A final word to you. If you've stayed with me through this entire journey through betrayal and anger, through rebuilding and success, through closure and unexpected postscripts. Thank you for taking this journey with me. Stories like this don't have neat endings. Real life rarely does. But they have lessons. They have meaning. They have value for anyone willing to sit with the complexity and learn from it. Here's what I hope you take away. Betrayal will hurt. It will shake your foundation. It will make you question everything. But it will not destroy you unless you let it. Integrity is not naive. It's strategic. It's powerful. It's the foundation of everything that lasts. People can change. But their change doesn't erase your pain. Both things can be true simultaneously. Your response to betrayal matters more than the betrayal itself. Choose wisely. Success means nothing if you can't be proud of how you achieved it. Build something good. Treat people well. Protect yourself appropriately. And when hurt comes, and it will come, remember that you have the strength to survive it and the capacity to build something even better from the ashes. That's not optimism. That's just truth. Human truth, learned the hard way. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring. Thank you for sitting with this difficult, complex, ultimately hopeful story. Now go build something beautiful, something ethical, something that reflects the best of who you are. The world needs more of that, and you have the power to create it. This, finally, truly, is the end.